Welcome back, folks. Well, it's time to add the final brushstroke to today's colourful canvas. So let's rejoin popular artist Fraser Scarfe as he prepares to put the finishing touches to his expressive landscape. Enjoy.
So when I left you, I'd just finished working on these clouds in the picture here, blending those out and softening this whole area in the foreground of the picture. What I want to do now is just go back over my horizon line, and we're going to put some dark shapes along there that act kind of like silhouettes in the painting. So we want some sort of rocky, mountainous things here along the horizon line, and then we'll just sort of tie all the loose ends in the picture up. So for these bits along my horizon line, I'm going to take some burnt umber. Got a new brush, just some burnt umber just on the end of that brush. Quite a powerful, strong colour, but we do want some sort of punchy contrast between these nice warm orange tones we've got and the things that are happening here in the foreground. So I've got this burnt umber on my brush here, and I'm just going to go back over my initial horizon line area, and I'm just going to go along my horizon line with this burnt umber colour and just make that slightly stronger so we have a more firm idea of where that is. Quick spray of the brush, and I'm also going to mark out here in the sort of immediate foreground just some very dark shapes that will almost hopefully sort of frame the picture slightly and lead your eye into it. I'm just going to do the same down in the bottom of the picture here. So I'm just applying the paint very loosely, very quickly here, just mapping out, as I did with the orange, where I want certain things to be. So I think we'll have an idea of some rocks and shapes out here in the water here. Nothing too regular, nothing too solid. And something in this sort of area as well. So just trying to see what looks right for the picture, really. Having done that, just going to wipe off any excess from my brush, because I've applied these dark areas, but they are sort of fairly scruffy at the moment, so I just want to go in and blend those out slightly. So got my brush, give my brush a quick spray. I want to get some moisture on there. That will allow me to blend the paint out. And then I'm just going to go in and just go over these lines and just use that moisture that's on my brush just to soften them out slightly. And I'm also just going to think about the shape of the lines as well, so we don't have a completely flat horizon line. So just using the shape of my brush just to go in and just make those lines look a bit more irregular and a bit more interesting. So just diluting as I go and just using my brush to just soften out and blend into these dark areas. Up to these lines of reflected light that I painted in initially. Just down here in the foreground, I'm just going to go in and make that front edge slightly smoother. And a few more little drops there. Okay, so that's hopefully starting to give the picture more of a sense of scale and depth now that we've got these kind of silhouettes in our foreground here to sort of break the image up slightly. So at the minute we've got the reflected light from a setting sun but no actual sun. So what we need to do is go in and give ourselves a sun. Now, rather than just sort of painting a white blob in the sky for my sun, what I want to do is give it a bit more of a sort of hazy effect. So with a clean brush, I'm just going to grab some titanium white, and where do I want my sun? Probably roughly in that sort of area. Quick little dab for where my sun's going to be. And then I'm just going to use a scrunched up bit of paper, kitchen roll, tissue, whatever you like, just to blend out some of the paint there. So I'm applying these little dabs of white and then just blending them out into their surroundings. So what we hopefully get It's just a bit more of a sort of glow around that area rather than just having a strange sort of floating white lump in the sky. Okay, that'll probably do for that. Then we're just going to go in and finalise that by just popping in our sun. Now, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle, you know, you don't need your rigger out or anything like that, sort of fiddling around with this. Just trying to get something on there that's going to represent the sun. And then what I can do is just pinch a bit of white and also maybe just break up some of this area of blue sky here with a few dabs of that white while I've got it on my brush, just to make that top part of the picture look a bit more interesting as well, because it's all fairly flat at the moment. So I'm just going to use my white on my brush there fairly quickly, just to go into that area of blue and build that up slightly. So just using some of that white and just sort of scrubbing it about. No real sort of formula, but just looking at breaking the blue up in certain places just to give it a bit more interest. And I can maybe also stretch some of this white just out into the area surrounding the sun, just to give that a bit more interest as well. And then just to also give these clouds a bit of a lift, just going to do some highlights on those. So I'm just going to mix some Naples yellow, which is a nice kind of warm custardy colour, very good for highlights. And just going to mix that with some of my titanium white. So we've got a nice kind of warm highlight colour. And then what I'm going to do is just maybe pick out where some of the light might be catching the edge of some clouds here. So I don't want to go crazy on this because highlights are tempting things and you can quickly sort of go overboard with them. But what I do want to do is just give these cloud shapes a bit of a lift, a bit of a kick, just so they look slightly more three-dimensional. So just using that warmish tone very quickly to just mark out where some of these clouds might be catching the natural light. And I can also use a bit of that highlight colour in my foreground as well. So maybe just go in and a few streaks of that warm light, just to contrast with the pure whites that we've done here. And also if you want, maybe just to stop these looking sort of too bold and too dense, just pick out where light might be catching some of these rocks or whatever that are down here in the foreground. Just a few little suggestions of light there. So there we go. I'll probably leave that there. That's just hopefully shown you how you can build up a very simple sunset scene using acrylics. So in this more finished version of the picture, what I've done is just added a bit more detail into the foreground here, broken that up slightly, and just intensified some of these cloud shapes, just to give everything a bit more punch.
Thanks, Fraser. It's great to see how creativity can mix with paint to bring pictures to life. Fantastic. Well, folks, before we go and rinse out our brushes and clean our palette, we've just got time to answer a few of your viewers' questions. And remember, if you'd like to ask us a question, you can drop us an email, asplashofpaint@saa.co.uk. Let's take a look at some of today's questions. First of all, what does it mean when a paint has the word hue on it? Well, basically it means it's a replication of the original colour that maybe was out many years ago. And it's a way of producing cheaper paints as well, because you quite often see two versions of, say, cadmium red. You'll see a cadmium red artist quality, which uses the purest pigments, and then cadmium red hue, which contains a synthetic pigment that is designed to look the same. And to be fair, there's not a massive amount in them nowadays. Paint gets better and better. It's also a case of sometimes a pigment's getting a bit short in supply, so they'll produce a colour that looks close to it, and that's basically what it means, okay? It's a synthetic version of it. Second question, having watched many SAA artists over the years mix yellow and blue washes for the skies, why do they never get green? It's down to the yellow that you use. If you use yellow ochre, for example, and bring ultramarine down towards this, it won't go green because of the way the paint works. It's not really a yellow. If you did lemon yellow in your sky, or maybe aureolin or cadmium yellow, and the blue comes into this, it will go green. Another thing to do is put the yellow on first, nice and pale, and then put the blue slightly stronger. This will avoid the green as well. This is something that we do all the time. And the yellow is designed to give distance, so put it right at the bottom. Well, folks, hope we've enjoyed getting closer to some of your favourite artists and that we've encouraged you to try something new. Join us next time for more inspirational advice and top tips and support on your artistic journey, whatever your ability. So, folks, that's all for today, but I'm sure you'll tune in next time where we'll be topping up your creative palette with inspiring ideas and tips. See you soon.
Discover the colourful world of the SAA and bring a splash of paint into the comfort of your own home. Request a free copy of our home shop catalogue. Visit www.saa.co.uk for details.